it? How's
I
that?
typed it through the that post. That's what I
What was that? What was that?
thought. That text messenger was the first thing I saw. It was on, and I thought it was interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. That meme.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't hear you because of the music. Let me pull that up. Yeah, that was a badass quote. Hang on. Let's see here. I'm gonna go over here and put it on. Let's see. We got people in here yet? Two people. Our notifications are being suppressed as usual. So let's give it an extra couple of minutes. And if you guys, can share to like one page or your page or a group, that'd be cool. We don't usually ask that, but for some reason we're getting more and more suppressed. The replays are okay, but we don't get as many people in on the live. Usually get at least about 120. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen because everybody, let me put your name up here. Wendy Mahoney's in the house from Vancouver, Canada. Is that right? Vancouver?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen you out there for a long, long time. So I was kind of surprised because I think I read your email and then I went to see who you were and I go, oh, I know her. Like I seen you out there for a long time, like since like 2014. And then I went to your page and you do some videos, which I watched a couple of them, and then just looked at um, yeah. So it looked very familiar to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this up. She sent me this message, this meme before we came on, and it's very cool. So let me just find it. Here we go. Get that out of the way and make that bigger. To increase our psychic and empathic connection, we must remember that we are actually every single thing, being, emotion, event, and situation that makes up the universe, made manifest into quantum avatars. The beings whom you call other people are alternative versions of yourself experiencing parallel timelines. The only psychic and empathic barrier is the veil of forgetting that they are you. I love that because it goes back to it's never them, it's always me. And we can't get away from that. There's no excuse anymore. Oh no, no, but they were mean to me. Or whatever excuse we no, I wasn't a reptilian. I wasn't an Anunnaki. But we're not here. Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, I'm sure I think you've watched the show a bit. I always ask people, have you always been this weird or did you have a wake up experience? Uh,
Mm.
and the funny thing is most of them say I had it when I was young, sometime between you say, 8, 9 and mid-teens it got suppressed, typically because people told them they were crazy. And then they went into, the Matrix, traditional, and then 10 years, whatever later, something happened and they woke up. And a lot of them since 2012. So, what was your story? Did you come out of a spaceship or did you come out of the inner Earth?
Well, I was born onto this planet. It's interesting because I think as a child, we're all very tuned in as children,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then of course the programming starts and we forget or it becomes a little bit suppressed, but it's always there. I think as a child I was very empathic and I had a lot of dreams and I could you know, see spirit guides and I would try to tell my parents what I was seeing and they're like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with this child, right? Um, and I would get visions and I would try to tell them like this is what I can see and yeah, it definitely was not fostered in the family dynamic that I grew up in.
What kind of stuff were you seeing and how old were you? I mean, like, how long did it last or did it ever go away?
It never went away, because I would channel a lot of stuff even when I was sort of in that realm. But yeah, like from as long as I can remember, I've seen a couple of my spirit guides, and I could see, yeah, I could see different energies and things like that, and I would, yeah, it was hard to understand. I came from sort of my grandmother was quite a religious woman. She passed on, and I grew up more so with her. So, there was a lot of things that in her belief was like, okay, you don't talk about these things. We have books on them, but we don't talk about.
So she knew.
Yeah, I think she was a pretty spiritual lady, but yeah, it was just something that we weren't really, I wasn't supposed to really talk too much about. So over the years, I never really thought too much about it. I just felt really different than everybody else. I felt different than my brothers. I felt different than my family. I felt like, just always kind of the black sheep, and I still am, to this
We
day,
like to
right?
call them the rainbow sheep here at Soulogy.
I like that better. I'm the black
Yeah.
sheep. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think then I went through, a lot of challenges in my life. And I think they were what essentially pushed me to really go back to spirit and fully just, open up that channel. So I've been awake for quite a while. I mean, I think my first one sort of happened in about 2000. I'm aging myself, Todd. And
Hey, I'm going to be 61 next month, so don't feel bad. And anyway, we're growing backwards.
exactly, I like that. So yeah, and then about 2012, I would say the catalyst showed up, and that was when it really everything just flew open. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a very good year. I think we all should have invested in some wine bottles for 2012. They probably have some kind of supercharge in them. You said a catalyst. A lot of people have traumas or uh, even igniters through a relationship. Some people call them the dark twin. How did it go for you? Was it something major? Was it a successive
no,
number
that
of
was it.
things?
I would, I mean, I really try to shy away from labels because I
Yeah.
feel they're trapped in themselves sometimes, but definitely did meet that aspect of myself.
Mm.
So, what I realized is that, yeah, they've come through relationships. It's come through, family dynamics, different things. And I sometimes say, our journey is, we're not fighting against people. We're fighting about principalities and then also aspects of ourself that are unhealed.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you meet somebody with that kind of energetic dynamic, it's really powerful. I mean, it was definitely something I'd never inquired before, and that relationship lasted about 12 years. Took me 12 years to heal that.
Wow.
um, but it taught me so much, and it really did. It pushed my life in a very different direction, because initially it was not the best path that I was on, and so I needed to go through those things to figure out what path I needed to be on and what healing I needed to do for myself. And I remember a girlfriend of mine saying to me, because I would have such challenges, and she'd say, "Well, the universe is just going to keep giving it to you over and over again until you learn the lesson."
Until you get it.
And like, okay, well, we'll
Man.
just one more time, right? And yikes, yeah, no. It was a lot of learning, a lot of learning. I'm really blessed, though, to say now I've got a really lovely relationship, a really balanced relationship in my life, right? And
That's good.
and a sort of soulmate energy. So it's, there was a reward after all of it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. We always get to the other side. You know what I mean?
Seems
We
like a
always.
long.
um, yeah. 2012 was a powerful, powerful year. On or about 2012. I mean, however you can contain that on a linear basis. But I mean, so you went back into your strength, like I guess we all did. We were all forced back into, get back into our own presence. Did your sensitivities and your skills and abilities kind of, gradually just keep increasing in the last 10 years? Or did you have like a jolt of downloads or visitations, or did anything happen, suddenly, like sudden impact, divine episodes, that type of thing?
Yeah, I had a Kundalini awakening in 2012. So that was pretty intense, because that was kind of when all the chakras decided to open up, and I just felt like a steel pole had come through the top of my head and just burst everything open, and if I can describe it that way, it's very challenging. And then, once that happens, okay, well, this comes up for healing and this comes up for healing and this is confusing and all of these energies are coming in and and it's transmutation essentially that I think I've been working on is transmuting a lot even that is not mine, excuse me, but in the
Right.
family bloodline, the ancestral bloodline, all these things that were logged into the DNA prior to the upgrade, right? So it was really intense, really, really intense and unpleasant for me. It wasn't super pleasant. But once I sort of started working through those things, I started being able to tap more into, kind of into your personal power,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like discovering your own soul signature,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So at some point, did you start to get into, because you're a practitioner, aren't you?
I do a lot of different,
Okay.
modalities, and I'm a creative person. I like to do creative projects and things like that.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, this year, this week, this last week, this last month, this last season, I mean, it's just been blistering. I mean, and we can all relate to what you're saying, with the catalyst, whatever it may be, or whatever they may have been. Um, and then, of course, the shadow work, the self reliance of the soul, where you're having to do it no matter what, um, and the intensity of it. But this, even like the last 2 or 3 months, I don't know. I mean, you're a practitioner. You talk to people, obviously, and you go through it, and you have other people, like in the closest circle, like you live with, or either in a relationship. I think you have some kids. So all that. Are you number one? Have you been feeling any like real uptick in the energetic fluctuations and all that in the last couple of months? And have you seen it in other people? Or you seen anything through your practice where like there's maybe a common thread with the people that you're seeing?
Mhm. Oh, the energy's been all over the place collectively. Um, I get a lot through the dream time. Uh, so I'm connecting into various energies. And I'm actually quite sensitive now. So I'm really particular about where I go physically.
Mm-hmm.
Just I like to sort of be in my energy as much as I can. But I do sense like there's just so many different vibrations happening, and there's sort of there definitely more awakening, which is great. We're getting to that space where we're sort of in that precipice of evolution, but then of course there's also still that polarity there,
Yeah.
and it's very confusing for people that have not, they might sense something, but they maybe don't really understand like what's fully going on. So I would say like I've seen um, what I sense is just like general, like a lot of confusion and a lot of like just really intense sort of vibrational shifts all around. Um, but I definitely have been getting a lot of dreams, a lot of stuff coming through in dream time for sure.
Hmm. Do you have a feel for it collectively? I mean, like, some
Yeah.
people equate it to masculine and feminine, third energy, all coming together, or just different ways of explaining it. Do you have a feel for it?
Yeah. Well, that's one major thing I've been seeing is the masculine and feminine imbalance. And so trying to kind of bring those energies back into balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say oftentimes my work is transmutation. So I kind of come in as the karma giver and sometimes, right? So, if I am in a certain situation, oftentimes it might be to work out something
Right.
in the collective that needs to be worked out. So I
Wow.
definitely have found that there is still a lot of imbalance. There's still a lot of wounding in both the divine masculine and feminine that need to be healed. And so there's these certain things that need to happen to make those happen. And I
Right.
think something that I've been dealing with quite a lot in my, I had a very 3D kind of job. And I've decided, to sort of shift from that and get more into my creative stuff. But when I'm seeing that in the matrix reality, it's very strong.
Right.
It's a really ingrained program in the matrix.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did I pick up what you're saying? I think a couple of things are kind of intriguing. One, you were saying that if you find yourself in a certain type of situation, maybe we might call it an entanglement.
Right.
You're basically consciously, it sounds like or feels like, um, observing it and I guess engaging in it from a higher perspective because you feel the collective part of it. You look at it as a collect. This, I mean, I know it's a personal thing, but it's still a collective contribution. And I've never really heard somebody say that because you could say, "Oh, it's collective," and somebody might say, "Oh, that's spiritual bypassing," but it's not necessarily. If you have the perspective of the multidimensional aspects that we've anchored, you could actually have a smoother ride through any type of entanglement or disentanglement. And I
That's
think,
true. Yeah.
yeah. So that's. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's my takeaway for the day. But
Yeah.
as far as the masculine, feminine, I can tell that you really are. You're in the thick of that, like so many of us. And I like what you said. And when you said they're both still wounded, and we're finding our way back because we're not going backwards. We haven't gone backwards since 2012. That's one
Yeah.
thing. No matter how intense things have gotten, I mean, it's the clarity always comes. It's just sometimes it's like you're pulling your hair up.
Yeah, I think on that, number one, I would say that I don't think I consciously go into things. I think I'm kind of at that place where I'm living in this consciousness all the time. So when
Okay,
I'm in that, I can very easily discern the situation.
right.
And so gracefully and thankfully, yes, I'm usually able to leave those entanglements in a way that everybody can learn in a more positive way because we've been able to address those things. And I think if we can't heal, the only way we're going to be able to heal this is to walk through it to a
Mm-hmm.
certain degree. And so those sort of things have to play out in our reality in order to be able to like serve a higher purpose and transcend whatever limited belief may be standing there that's holding the process back.
Mark her. That was perfect. Um, but and two, I don't know if you've noticed this. Well, everything is parallel. I mean, so for every intense experience we're having, our energies we're experiencing, there is that other side. There's this growth. There's this everyone's sensitivities, everybody's skills and abilities, everybody's memories, and I think another part of it is, from a human perspective, maybe more so, getting used to it, getting used to, hey, this is just going to get better and better, and maybe we can, get the front end of this a little less painfully. And I think that's what you're saying. Not, and I think what you said is what I was trying to say, and I didn't get it across right, which was, it's not like you have to think about it. It's just you now, like this multidimensional perspective, which is now, extrapolating into our present moment experience. It's not just you that's got it; other people are too, and it's becoming more and more. It's becoming a little softer and softer and softer, but yet we're still going through those issues, as you said. We will have to
It's
walk through each one of them. Yeah.
like it has to play out. I mean, that could be part of my wounding as a child, maybe, or my programming that still has not been, dealt with, and so it'll play out in my life in a
Yeah.
certain way. And then, based on the prior experiences that I've had, how is the best way to neutralize the energy?
Yeah. I
And
think.
everybody would be the similar, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, and and I think another thing that's coming online, what feels like compassion, so less judgment, um, and and more openness. less emphasis on the story. Like this is kind of what you're saying, is I'm not really looking at the story as the dominant frequency. I'm looking at I'm different now. We're different now. So we're looking at it from a different viewpoint. The human can't really make sense of it all as it happens. I've heard a lot of people say, including myself over the last 2, 3 months, man, this stuff's coming in, the clarity's here, you can feel it, but I can't explain it. You know?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, I definitely do think we're making leaps and bounds in the evolutionary process, and each phase and each thing I think that we go through in the illusion or the way that we play out these ideals, I think that they are getting healed as we move through this, and I
Yeah.
think I'm still holding this I guess manifestation or idea in my heart, not my mind, that we are ascending to that new earth consciousness. And there's a lot of people that say, oh well, it's going to take 100 years before that kind of happens, and I'm like, well, it's kind of here now. But this is where it gets a little confusing, because you can be there, but then you're still sort of living in the matrix to a certain degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
It's,
but there's but there seems to be like the third energy, like because this is the Trinity, right? I mean, this is the age of the Trinity. Uh, like for me, I can see it. I can see it helping us, almost like it's the strongest one of the three right now: masculine, feminine, golden child, or third energy, and it's really helping us. And yeah, we're in the matrix, and we might have to do some hardcore things by force or flow, which is get rid of our IDs, stop paying taxes, stop participating. I mean, those things aren't going to hold. So one way or the other, they got to go. And how that looks, I think, maybe that's part of the new code we're writing. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's weird. No doubt about that. It's weird, really is.
Well, I think everything is there's always that divine plan as well, and so that's something I always try to remember, is that we are all, with that meme, the way that I would understand that is that we are all aspects of the divine, or God, goddess,
Right.
whatever it is that you relate to, and so it's all source sort of experiencing itself through us. And there's always that master plan that we may not always know what it is, but we're
Yeah.
instruments here to kind of work through that energy and allow source to experience itself in different forms. And coming into that unity consciousness is really beautiful. um, and it's sometimes hard to try to teach somebody that you really are going to benefit more coming together in collaboration than competition.
Mm-hmm.
We're all here to essentially lift each other, right? So that's been a lesson that I've gotten recently, and so I'm trying to kind of put that into place, knowing that I have to leave that old paradigm, and just continue to move forward for the best for all.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, collaboration would make sense because we're embodying everything. So if we're embodying, unity consciousness, you would we're all going to be getting along. And not only that, but collaboration in this new Trinity energy, it's magical. It's powerful. It's an activation. I mean, we do this over here with the music and just improvise everything, and it's just like it's scary, and then it's like our little downloads. It's like the little waves we go through. It's just a miniature version of it. But at the end, you're expanded and empowered, and it comes not just from yourself. It comes from the harmonious, freestyle, free flowing, no impediment type of atmosphere, and it's just one version of it. There's many other versions of it. I'm sure. So yeah, very cool.
The surrender.
So, do you know what kind of things you're going to get into? Or are you going to just basically expand what you're doing now as a practitioner?
Well, actually, what I've been called as of recently to do is really just try to work with people on a similar vibration, endorse what they're doing, collaborate with them, try to bring some conscious business ideas to the
Mm,
mainstream, right? Just trying to promote some of this new energy in the world. So I am working on an initiative. I do Raise the Vibe initiative. So I'm finding a lot of conscious practitioners that'll be talking and, talking about different ways we can improve our health and our
mm,
spirituality. And I love holistic beauty products and things like that, like your friend had
mm-hmm.
you were telling me about, right? Modern shaman. So all of these people, I think, need to be endorsed. People
I
need to
agree.
hear about them, and so I want to try to just collect our brothers and sisters and their skills and talents, and talk about them and bring them to as many people as we can, and that's what I'm called to do at this point. So
Well, I saw some of your videos, and I skimmed through everything pretty much because I don't have time. But and I saw that you were doing that. You're doing what we do. You're bringing people on, providing a platform, and getting
yeah,
getting the information out there. And I think you made some other type videos too. I remember. But yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what Soulogy is all about.
yeah,
That's what I just did for the last hour before we did the show. Just put everybody's stuff out there, and just yeah. I mean, it's everybody's a star. You know what I mean? We're all valiant souls. But yeah, that's what we're going to do with the network. We're going to be probably the latter part of this week start pulling in probably the first 100 people to come in and utilize it. But that's what it's for, and it'll have very quickly 3 channels that run 24 hours a day. But the I guess the plan is that the perfect world is that everybody has their own channel. If somebody wants to create a show, somebody wants to give them a free form to do it with no censorship or BS or whatever.
I love it. I've been watching you for a long time. I love your show. I've really felt connected to it and you for quite a while. So I was really grateful after you'd reached out to my email. And it's just awesome to connect and have you in the Soulogy energy, or have me in the Soulogy energy, right?
Yeah.
I'm really blessed and grateful. So thanks for,
Okay, you're welcome. And yeah, but I mean, Solargy's it's just another energy for that third energy. I mean, not an energy, another name for the third energy is the way I see it. But your description of because it's becoming very much a physical experience, and I have a feeling that the Kundalini energy and the sacred sexuality energy and the creative energy is going to be it's going to be a constant part of our lives. We're all going to be walking around buzzing like we do in Dimension.
I think we already are probably.
Well, I mean, seriously, and that's just having that kind of, and I've had it, you know, in the last week, I've had it several times. I've had it, just talking to my friends, a male, a female. It's not and I'm going, wow, this is really cool. It's coming on board more and more, and I'm sure some people are. It's happening all the time. Some people are, you can see the glitter or the crystals in their skin. I've seen a
Wow.
picture of a guy that was totally light body with 3 people standing next to him. Friends of mine let me take a look at it. But but it's when I think about it, I think okay, all these things that we worry about or used to worry about, like the way we look, or what we have in the bank, or whatever previous limitations that we thought from our perspective back then, like it's healing. It's having that energy running through you is healing automatically, just like sound healing. I mean, this is powerful because our bodies are doing it.
Well, I think too, understanding the big one for me is just surrendering, just knowing that as long as you're, you know, doing the work, you're
Hmm.
fine. You
Yeah.
don't have to get locked into this idea that you're not going to have enough, or like,
Right.
oh, we're good, right? So it's just a matter of being on the path, and everything sort of works itself out. Um, and I think a lot of like starseed sort of beings and stuff, they might still have that idea of that poverty consciousness, and I want us to get over that,
Hmm.
because the skills and the gifts and the things that they're offering people, are enough, and it will find, it will find its way to become abundance and prosperity, and I think we're going to see more and more of this moving forward. I mean, we have a whole community,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm sure we all want to be supporting.
Yeah. I mean, people want to help people. I mean, we wouldn't be here. We run strictly on contributions, and really don't do any charging. I mean, and it's because that's what the instructions were. The instructions were to walk in faith or live in faith, and not, which means it's not conventional, it's atypical, and
Mhm.
but I think that what you said, and I think it's probably a word beyond surrender. it's like diving into the abyss, but I think that's what it takes. In fact, I know that's what it takes. And I've been able to experience it from time to time and sustain it from time to time, and then you can crash. But I think the whole what you were saying is surrendering, because the way this thing works, it doesn't work by the ways it's been working. You can't go into something and go, okay, I want this because I'm going to do that. I mean, there's still some of that out there, but that's not going to hold. It's got to be a free flow, equal energy exchange. It's a different energy. We're not using the same programs or the same patterns that we were before. But I agree with you. More and more people are doing it because so many people are living these crazy fairy tale lives, and these crazy things are happening to them, and they end up, like I got a friend that was a hairstylist for 32 years in New York, and something happened, and now she's on a farm, living with a bunch of people in harmony and growing, and never even goes into town. I'm like, whoa, what happened? But I see this all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I find myself getting further and further away from that. My community is definitely, we're a little bit out in the rural, spots. I still think that, yeah, there is this matrix there, and it's
Mm.
a lot of the time by greed, and what you can take from people and what you can get. And it's really falling very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's really falling to a spot that is just not going to be beneficial, I believe. So getting into that, co-creative space, I think is really going to benefit people moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we have to engage the magic. We have to acknowledge what we've done. I mean, this is crazy. This is like the greatest show in the multiverses. I mean, this is amazing. This is like, and you only get one chance to do it right the first time. So I think that's another thing that's happening. People are starting to go in their own way. I don't care what people think. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and there should be nothing wrong with me being me. That's it.
Mhm.
And then you go out and play, and like begets like. Um, but yeah, the whole exchange. I mean, the best way I can, you know, kind of structure it in my mind, my constantly changing mind, as everything's changing for us, is it's sharing. You show up with what you have, and we know we have to do this energetically first, but you show up with what you have because that means your thoughts are there. You show up with what you have, and you share, and you trust that the universe is going to reciprocate, and it will. It's just in the past, it's been reciprocating in a distorted way because our frequencies have been distorted because of the conditioning that we had. But now things have changed. A lot of people, many people, are thinking like you. And telepathically, I know that, and firsthand, I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, the telepathy I find has been really strong. I get a lot of it in I've been connecting in with your energy, sorry, for a couple days.
Mm.
And, just different kind of energies. And it's funny because they're even coming through different, just things might just start on the computer, come out randomly out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere, a certain, message or thing. So that's been really interesting to see that and sort of start kind of connecting into um, that energy. Now, also, sometimes I have to be careful with that because what I found in the past is that if you're connecting into the wrong mastermind, it can be, detrimental, but I found that this new energy that I'm connecting into, it's quite amazing. It's it's pretty interesting to be able to have this sort of different energetic way of communicating.
Yeah, and the horizons are further out now, and the whole
Yeah.
thing with the whole thing with the telepathy. So the telepathy is, non let's say non-physical form, but the telepathy is taking on physicality. And what I'm finding is, I don't know if it's telepathy, synchronicity, uh, but it's something. It's sequential. I find that, like the other night, like after we had set the appointment, and I was in the truck in the car, and I was doing stuff, and I was doing the work was one thing, so I had one stream coming in that way. Then somebody sent me a message, and reading the message, it it fit in with it, and then I had this whole timeline jump thing. And I'm like, holy crap. Like I was like laughing and almost crying, and I was like, wow. But it was a major, like, like expansion of clarity. And then right 10 minutes later, as I'm sitting there trying to compose myself, that was the first message, I think, on like Messenger, that we never engaged anything but the emails. And you said, I think we just went through a big bunch of timeline jumps. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What's going on here? And the moon was doing something, and the sea. I mean, so yeah, that's a language that's only going to get louder, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like your idea about it. I sometimes think, well, why did I choose Earth? Why did I choose this planet, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some other ones that could have been a little more interesting, but it's really interesting the way that we are collectively creating this new this new Earth, and
Mhm.
what it's going to be made up of, and how it's going to translate. So I guess that's why I chose Earth.
Well, my understanding is that we knew what we were getting into, but we didn't. And but I can see the perfection of it all. It's almost like you take a setback, and turn it into a comeback, and or you go to the depths so you can go as high as possible, like a slingshot. I don't think this 100 years and 50. I think 2023, 2024 are going to be absolutely incredible. In fact, I think that's starting now. I
Yeah.
think we. I think November is going to be, still kind of ginger because we just went through something since this summer. I don't know. It's just been crazy. But yeah, I feel like it's just going to. We're going to see more and more evidence of it, more continuity, more cohesiveness until there's just this kind of a sacred synergy. Where people can't deny it.
Hmm. Oh, brother, I like it. I like it.
So, what kind of work do you do? I mean, what kind of stuff do you do with like clients? I mean, are you in specific stuff, or are you just kind of all over the place?
Well, I'm a hypnotherapist, and
Okay.
I'm a master coach, and
Hmm.
I do you know well, I guess we all sort of do the same thing. I work a lot with people that may be, dealing with trauma,
Mm-hmm.
or, needing energetic alignment. Of course, I do Reiki and all these other modalities and crystal healings. And, I work with a vast range of different modalities when I'm working with somebody. So I would customize basically whatever it is their need,
Right.
that they are requiring through that time. But essentially, I can read their energy, and sort of figure out where they're going, and have a discussion with them in terms of, what we need to work on to sort of get them to that place, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you ever work with uh, children? Because a lot of people have been talking about children recently, last couple of years. We've had quite a few young people on. Excuse me. Um,
Well,
Whoa,
my
I was gonna,
children.
I was gonna ask you. What was that? What was that?
I said my own children.
Oh, your own child. Well, yeah, there you go. How many children do you have?
I have two. I have
Two,
a boy
okay.
and a girl. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. People that have come on the show even talking about their own children. These kids are turned on, and they're coming fast, like really fast. We've had people on here talking about their kids talking about, I came from a blue planet. I was an astrophysicist. I'm here to clean up the earth. To their, I go to the rainbow world every day. I see rainbow energies on the earth. All kinds of stuff.
And I think it's so much more accepted now. Both my children came in pretty in tune, and so it was something that I've always tried to allow them to be comfortable with and express, and just be. And absolutely, like, I mean, I would be, I would work with anybody that feels called to
Mm,
reach out to me. But I think the influx is so big. And even when I'm out, with my children and their friends and, reading the energies of these kids, they're incredible. I think the main thing is that, that it's a safe place for them to
yeah,
foster that.
yeah,
And it's okay for them to speak about what they feel called to speak about, and it's not being shut down.
yeah. That goes for all of us at this point. I think we're all saying that now. We're like, hey, wait a minute. Um, yeah. Now, in terms of like what's been happening recently, like the last week or 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever we want to do, um, have you had to go deep, and have you seen clients having to go deep as kind of a standard? You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people, like, we're really really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. There's some major stuff coming out, right? Like we're getting burned by the Cali energy. Are you
Yeah,
are you feeling any of that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've,
Yeah,
I've gone through a major transition myself. So,
yeah,
um, again, these are all, you know, they're going to come back. We're going to experience them oftentimes a little bit more than other people, but we can also bounce back a little quicker because
yeah,
we have the ability to be able to do that. But,
yeah,
these things need to burn up so that new things can be made. And I think
yeah.
that's the whole idea behind this transmutation. I mean, I could think back on my human experience, and boy, I mean, wow, if
Yeah.
I can still have this much love in my heart after that experience, like, that is a blessing in itself, because it's not been easy. There's a lot of darkness,
Mm-hmm.
that has inhabited this planet for a very long time. And so it needs to show its head so we can get rid of it, essentially, or transmute it, or, make space for something new.
Yeah. Yeah. People always talk about going down the rabbit hole, and like it's like some kind of adventure.
Be careful with
Yeah.
that rabbit hole. Be careful.
One thing about rabbit holes is they get darker the further
Yeah.
you go, and I think that's what happens is, through our experience, we put ourselves in these situations so we can transmute. That's like the viability of the soul. I mean, but I think, yeah, to your point, it many of us are tired. Um, there's no more fight. We know that, but it was a hell of a fight. And the one thing I will say is, as much as we've gone through, and we're still intact, our physical bodies seem to be doing something different. Like, and I know people have talked about, for years, talked about going from carbon body to crystalline, but to hear about it and to be a part of it is two different things. And so that's a good sign. That's a good consolation.
Well, that's an interesting concept. I know that I can embody a lot of light codes at certain times, depending on where my vibration is. But then I wonder sometimes about that. There's still, like, a lot of things that I don't know, and I'm curious about, like, if we turn into full crystalline light bodies, like, can we
Mm-hmm.
still be physical with each other? Can we still, you know, are we may not require food anymore? Like, those kinds of things are
Yeah,
very interesting to me.
yeah,
Um, and so when I think about this whole, like, ascension thing, I'm like, my partner always says, well, if you turn, you're just going to be a hologram, we can't touch each other anymore. And I'm like, well, I don't know how that's all going to work out, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think if we go back into Atlantean times, it must have been more light body, I would think, through that sort of time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure. I know I've had a couple of early on. I had a couple of Atlantean dimensional experiences that were like lucid dream vivid, but I wasn't sleeping. And we had bodies, or what I saw, we had bodies. Now they were not attractive. I remember that the feet were ugly, but there was like a pixelation. It's
Hmm.
probably not the right word. Like energy, you could see the energy in the air, and there were tones and sounds, and I would imagine that was indicative of a higher frequency field. But I think there was a lot of distortion because in both of the remembrances I had, they were not good. They were like telling me the story, and so there was a high frequency band, but it wasn't in balance. It wasn't in equilibrium, and I guess we all know that. I mean, but maybe what you were saying, and I think you said at the beginning, we're already here, right? Like when you said some people says, but we're already here. Maybe it's already here, and maybe what's happening is we are our light body activation is more of a multidimensional thing, and we still have the physical body. I mean, you
They're
and your
able to get
yeah, like
multiple.
you and your partner are already doing the light body thing. You may not be conscious of it, but at the same time, you have the physical thing too. I mean, and again, what do I know? What do any of us know? Because every time we think we know something, we go to sleep and wake up the next day and everything's changed.
Right? Yeah. But like activating the Merkaba,
Yeah.
right? If we
Mm-hmm.
were to activate the Merkaba, essentially, what would that mean? That would mean we could take the body and
Yeah.
travel through two-dimensional space, right?
Yes.
I feel like maybe that's part of all of it as well, but who knows? There's all these things.
Who knows? Who knows? Just remember, what is it? Buddha and what was it? Buddha. Whenever somebody would sit with him, he'd always say at the end, "Now, don't listen to anything I say." Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've watched through your progression since 2012 because you went, you kind of like started anew, like so many people, and then have children and have a relationship and business and a 3D job and in this business. You've been able to see the evolution, you know, where we were and where we are now.
Mm.
Like, because you work with a lot of people now. I don't know about you, but I think we've done a hell of a good job. I really do. I think it's amazing what we've done. It's just mind blowing. To me, it is.
Yeah, I, there's so many. When I initially started, I was like the first crazy person on my Facebook, and everyone's like, "What's up with her?" You know,
What year
and
was this?
now
Was that
it's
like
sort of
20? Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, there was no talk of any of this at that point. People didn't really. It was definitely not. I mean, I still say it's probably not mainstream, but it's certainly a lot more in out there than it was, I think, at that time. And so what I've seen just over the course of, oh goodness, it's been 11 years, I guess. But I think even before that, like I was posting stuff, I was channeling like 2008, right? And so a lot of the stuff that's on my social media is channel stuff,
Right? Yeah.
right? And so a lot of people probably didn't know what I meant and probably thought, wow, she's a little out there. But now there's so
Yeah.
many. Like I have a whole light family that we've connected with that are all over and the energies have connected and it's like so beautiful because there's a community now where we're finding each other and it's not you're not feeling like you're so alien by yourself.
Right.
We've
Right.
got a whole family we can lean on for that. So yeah, it's been interesting to see just the evolution and just how many beautiful souls there are, incarnated here right now. Like it's we've had to walk through hardship, and it would be easy to say, believe this illusion, but from what I can see is boy, there's just I can't even go through all of them. Like I try to visit all their pages, and it's like there's
Mm-hmm.
just so many, and they're all doing so many beautiful things.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how much. Well, obviously, it's not on the mainstream media, but I'm wondering if it's more of a thing by far than what we might think, because like I just everywhere I turn, I see it. Like I was listening to some Mac Miller last night, and he has a song called Ascension, and the lyrics, it's in his own way, but he's talking about the same thing. And you see it in other, artists, and you see it in other places. But I don't know. Maybe we're all 90% of us are like us, and the 1%. I don't know. But a lot of people have been saying recently, or enough people, like on the show and stuff, that they're noticing it in their family that wasn't awake. Like they're noticing things. They're not like talking about things to the extent we do, but they're asking questions and they're opening up.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've not seen that in my family dynamic,
Me
but
either.
that, I'm hoping that maybe that could be healed at some point. I believe that I was, the best way I could try to figure that one out is that I was here to, there was a lot of negativity and a lot of, just abusive things in that
Yeah.
bloodline that needed to end so that a new bloodline could begin.
Wow.
And yeah, it's unfortunate because, I had a great deal of love, and obviously you want to be accepted and
Yeah.
loved by your family of origin, right? But that was a difficult journey for me.
Well, you can feel it in your energy when you talk about it, and and even to what you were talking about earlier about what you're seeing with the masculine and the feminine, and the wounds are still there. I mean, I don't know what the hell. I mean, I know what divine marriage within is. I don't know what that looks like to the human. I think we may have it already, but the thing is um, I don't know. I don't know. Is there anyone in the world that can say I'm 100% on with the feminine? We're totally good. I don't have any charge whatsoever with any version or anything, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But when I listened to you just say that, it wasn't what you were saying. It was your energy. I could tell that it was a very deep thing. I'm sure you hold it like in sacredness, the opportunity and the transformation, the transmutation. But it's there's still a little sting. I think out there for us. I think that's what we're working out. What you were talking about.
I really try to send a lot of love um, around that situation, and forgive it, and let everybody sort of walk freely because we were all here to teach each other.
Right. Exactly. Stay in your own lane. Because
Yeah.
I don't know who's got time to be in someone else's lane at this rate. We won't have that choice much longer because either that or you leave the planet. It's just too much. You'll go crazy. Um, yeah, yeah. It's like don't take anything personal, but it is extremely personal to self. And I guess that's where the whole self love and when we talk about compassion or judgment, it it's got to start with us. I've said I forgive you to myself so many times in the last year and a half, just throughout the day. Just if it's a memory, if it's PTSD or whatever.
And we've all made our number of mistakes and things, right? And so I guess the main thing is we've learned from whatever
Hmm.
experience we've had and use it to do better
Yeah, yeah,
instead of create more pain or trauma. So if we can get to that point, I think that's a nice place to be.
yeah, yeah. And what I'm liking too, like doing the show, like even with you right now, and really the shows from the last 3 weeks since I got back on this horse full time. Um, Whoever I'm talking to is obviously high frequency, but there's something different, and it's the human part of them. They're not running from it. They're not putting a mask in from it. It's transparent, or it's becoming transparent, like your energy today and the people of the last couple, 2, 3 weeks. It's amazing, and it's powerful. It's extremely powerful. It doesn't make you feel all warm and fuzzy all the time. You know what I mean? Uh, but it's not.
Right.
It's not like a suffering frequency anymore, or um, a facade hiding it. It's it's a frequency, or a band of frequency that's got authenticity and a realness to it, moving towards transparency, like beyond vulnerability. Um, and it's it's very cool to see the mask coming down with people. Really is. And it's a tough thing to do. I think it takes a lot of guts.
Well, I think, like you said, I mean, if we had chosen to come here for this time,
Yeah.
I believe it's very likely we also chose our experience and our families and
Yeah.
everything else that we needed to have to learn to get to where we need to be. So holding on to a lot of trauma and pain around that really doesn't serve anybody
Yeah.
or anything, right? Like, I mean, it's just we are all here to serve each other in one way or another.
Well, yeah. That's what I was saying too. Like, there's no more suffering. There's some pain, but it's taken on a different definition. It's more of like a sting. Like you get. It's more like a red flag, or a heads up or something.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. The
but
more you
yeah.
the more easier it is to discern, like, ding ding ding, like this is not
Hmm.
in alignment, right?
Right.
Remove
Right.
yourself.
Have you had have you had a lot of have you had, like, this year, like, identity deaths, ego deaths, like, since this summer, like, just getting ripped off of you?
I had an ego death a long time ago.
Hmm.
Sometimes I really find it challenging to be in this body. I figured I must have chosen it. It served me in certain ways, but there's a I find that it's so physical, and so people really like to look at the physical and make judgment upon the physical, and to me, it's sort of just the vehicle that I
Right.
require at this
Right.
point. Kind of do whatever it is that I'm doing. Um, but I would say that my ego death happened quite some time ago. Probably, I would say in around that 2012
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. And of course, there's phases and levels, and, you
Yeah.
know, if you have, I mean, but, like, I think, yeah, definitely there was major ego death happening about then, because we wouldn't have made the decisions we did to follow the crazy lifestyles in the past that we have, you know? I mean,
I, Trust me, Todd, I lived.
yeah, yeah, I can feel you. Yeah, I've been there, and I don't know. It's God, it's just been such a ride recently. God, and you mentioned channeling. Now, a lot of people refer to that as, like, when they're getting something, they write it down, right? Or, there's other definitions of channeling. Do you? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious how you experience it. Is that what you're talking about, like writing down the stuff, or do you actually channel anything like that?
I would say I can come into my human aspect
Mm.
if I need to. I can sort of switch in and out. But
Right.
I would say that if I think about it, it very quickly appears.
Right.
So whether it's something that I'm putting out in my social media, like that something I sent you today, where I
Mm-hmm.
know exactly when something comes up, and it's that sort of everything in alignment piece. I have written in the past. I've written a couple things actually. I'm working on a book. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to publish it or not. But I've been channeling, writing in journals and things like that since I've been a kid. Like I've got, and they're quite lovely.
Yeah, it's a great exercise. It
Yeah, yeah.
internalizes things.
Yeah, and lots of art. Like I channel through my art. I'm a visual and digital media artist,
Oh,
right?
really? So
Yeah,
what is that? Okay, what is it? Visual artists and digital artists, two different things, or is it a visual?
I do, oil on canvas, hands-on work where I can play with paint and color and texture and all those things. And then I also do digital art
Oh,
as
that's
well.
cool. That's really cool. Where's your stuff at? Where's it on display at?
In my house.
Is it really? Do you have it on? You have it on your Facebook?
I'll put some stuff up. I just finished, they're always works in progress, it
Mm-hmm.
seems. I may get one and work really hard on it for a month nonstop, and then I'm finished it and I don't want to look at it again for a while, right? But I channel like a lot of the ascended masters, like
Yeah.
ladies and
Cool.
these, and so they come out sort of on the board, and I never really know what it's going to be until it's completed.
Oh,
But
that's really cool.
it's
We had a
fun.
friend. A lot of people knew her in Sedona named Cher Lynn, and that's what she did. She had did some amazing stuff. But that's what she would do. She would connect with Merlin and then create Merlin, and they're
Yeah.
just full of code. So it sounds similar to what you're doing. Um, yeah, that's really cool. I hope to see some of that. Um, that would be
I'll
cool.
in your in your messenger.
And the digital, is it along the same lines?
Well, yeah, I've kind of got into the digital marketing. I'm really enjoying creating videos for people, endorsing whatever it is that they're doing, and maybe, managing some of their digital content. Even in my community, I go out a lot. And there's quite an enlightened community out where I am. So if they do events, I kind of do all their videos and digital stuff. And yeah, that's a lot of fun too.
Oh, that's a
Um,
very cool. That's a very
yeah.
cool thing to be able to do. Are you in Vancouver Island or Vancouver?
Actually, I live outside of Vancouver.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I just not too far. I'm about 25 minutes out,
Hmm.
but I'm in a bit more of a rural community, and I live very close. Well, I'm up in the mountains, close
Good
to
for
the lake.
you. Good for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice where I am. I feel it's quite lovely, although on wet days like today, it's I wish I was where you were, but yeah, it's a lovely spot.
Yeah, it's not bad here right now. It was a bit hot last month. It was get a little warm. Now it's getting cool. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you. I'd like to yeah learn more about some of the collaborative stuff that you're doing because there might be some fits, and that's what it's all about. Just again, at all levels, collaboration. So the more collaboration, the more people it gets put in front of too.
Yeah, no,
So
that would be wonderful, Todd. I'd love to stay connected and keep you
yeah,
in the fun stuff. I'd,
right on.
I'd actually love to host you one day, maybe if you're interested.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Um,
cool. I'm good with that. I love to support people with their. I was just helping a kid the other day. He came by here and he's like wanting to do a podcast. I'm like, yeah, anytime. I just told him what I knew, what I could help him with, and then and he asked me. I said, yeah, I've been on many and I enjoy it. It's not always. It's weird, but to go on a show with somebody when I'm always the one hosting. So I enjoy it. It's yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy collaborating. So yeah, I would love to.
well, you are truly a blessing. I really appreciate chatting with you today, and I hope we'll stay connected. I'll keep you in the loop.
We will. I'll reach out to you with some of the stuff we're doing very quickly, actually. Okay.
Perfect.
All
Sounds
right.
awesome.
All right. You take care. Peace
You
out.
too.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Wendy Mahoney, in the house. Real deal. We'll see y'all in 1 hour with somebody. I can't remember their name. Sorry.